Well, welcome everybody to our Gomo Learning uh, webinar this afternoon on how global organizations create and deliver e-learning at scale. I'm Hugh Edwards from Gomo Learning. I'm going to be facilitating the webinar today. And we've had a huge interest in this. So we've got lots of people I can see just tuning in. So we'll be starting in just a few minutes, but we just wanted to make sure that everything's up and running. And if I could just check that in the GoToWebinar panel, you'll see a little hand icon there. So if we could just try that out, and if you can hear me and see the screen, if you could just raise your hand there, and we'll just make sure that that's all working. Okay, that's great. Yeah, I can see lots of hands being raised there. Thank you very much for that. I can also see that we've still got lots of people joining us. The other thing is that we're going to be asking you questions as the presentation progresses. And also that you can ask questions as well. And you'll see that there's a question little widget in your GoToWebinar panel. And just so that we can test that out, and we're waiting for other people to arrive, maybe you could just tell me about where you are and what the weather's like, because here in Brighton on England's south coast, it's a beautiful evening. The sun's just setting, but I know that we have lots of people from all around the world, so do let us know through the question box just where you are and what the weather's like. And I see Brendan saying in Dublin, chilly but clear evening. And Redlands, California, welcome and good morning to you. Chilly 48 degrees there. And yeah, Atlanta, welcome William. That's cool mid-50s there. So yeah, it looks like we've definitely got a good global audience. Katie in Texas, best time of the year, low to mid 70s. So yeah, we all wish that we were there in Texas, Katie. And also, apparently, it's sunny in Horsham in England. So thank you very much. For those of you, I can see that we've got more and more people joining us. That we're just checking out, before we kick off, we're just checking out the question box so you can ask questions and we can ask you questions as well. You'll see in the GoToWebinar panel that that we have the question box, and just to get us going and test that out, I'm just asking everyone to let us know just where you are and what the weather is like, because it seems we've got lots of people from all around the world. And Alan in Hertfordshire is saying it's dark. Yep, and also Brighton, it's cold. Yes, it does look cold out of the window, but the sea's looking very nice here. And yeah, I can see that we have more people joining us. And so we have to say, yeah, both good morning, good afternoon, and also good evening to all of you tuning in here. We really appreciate you making the time. For those of you who are just joining us, you've tuned in to the Gomo Learning webinar on how global organizations create and deliver e-learning at scale. And we'll be starting off. I'll be handing you over to Thom Tate, our North American Business Development Manager, in just a couple of minutes once a few more people have tuned in. And Rennie, howdy from Texas. You're very welcome and good morning. And can see that we have more people joining us there. So what we're going to be doing with the question box is that we're going to be having a poll to get your views of some of the issues facing your organizations in terms of delivering e-learning. And then please do use the question box to just ask questions as the webinar progresses. I'll be on hand to try and answer those directly through the question box, but then also we'll be having a session at the end where you can ask questions, and also any questions I haven't managed to answer, then we'll open that up as well. So please do keep the questions going there. And we'll just give it another minute because I can see that we've got lots of people. Because we've got so many people on the call today, we're not going to be able to unmute everybody, unfortunately, because then we get lots of noise and feedback and it'd be quite disturbing. So we're going to be making use of the question box all the way through. And for those of you who are just joining, then you'll find the question box in the GoToWebinar panel there. Just type in your question, and if you want to test it out, then just let us know where you're from and what the weather is like there. Okay, that's great, and I can see that also, yeah, we have a good number of people joining us from the States, and looks like we have a range of temperatures there. So far, Texas seems to be doing the best at mid-70s. And here we go. Yeah, I can see lots more. So welcome to all of you who are joining now. Welcome to this Gomo Learning webinar. We are going to be starting off in just a few seconds, just as people are joining. Again, those of you who are just tuning in, a very warm welcome to you, whatever time of the day or evening it is there. And I'm Hugh Edwards from Gomo Learning. I'm going to be hosting this session and facilitating, and we're going to be using the question box for you to be able to ask questions and to answer the questions that we put to you. So, we've now got loads of people here, so let's get going. So I'd like to introduce you to Thom Tate, who's our Business Development Manager for North America. We also have Mike Alcock, our Managing Director, who's on hand and on the line in case there are any questions you want to put directly to him. So without further ado, as they say, I'll hand over to you then, Thom. Thank you.
Thank you, Hugh. Appreciate it. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining us, whether it's morning, afternoon, or evening where you're at. We really appreciate it. So hopefully everybody can see my screen, and if you can't, just send a little message to Hugh, and he can hopefully help you out in the background. But today we're going to be talking about how global organizations create and deliver e-learning at scale. So just to kind of get started off, I know I have seen some of our clients that are actually on here. There's some also new names that I hadn't seen before. So for those of you who are not familiar with Gomo and what we are and what we do, I just kind of give you a real quick rundown of who we are before we get into the actual presentation. So Gomo, we feel, is one of the world's leading cloud-based, responsive, and adaptive HTML5 e-learning authoring tools that we also offer integrated hosting with a full XAPI analytics, and we also do offer offline learning through the use of native apps for either Apple products or Android products. So who really uses Gomo? So really everybody, but a lot of our customers are large global organizations. And again, you don't have to be a large global organization, but just because of the collaborative features that we offer, being in the cloud and everything, a lot of our functionality just seems to fit really, really well with a lot of global organizations. Just to pat our own back a little bit, we have won Brandon Hall's Gold for Best Advance in Content Authoring Technology. Craig Weiss, who is sort of the e-learning guru, has basically listed us as one of his top 5 authoring tools that he feels are the best in the world. And then this year, Training Industry Magazine has ranked us in their top 20 of authoring tools that are available. And also for those in Europe, you're probably familiar with the Fosway Group. They are an analytics company, and they have put us over here in this upper right-hand quadrant for core leader for authoring systems. And then also, just to let everybody know, we are part of a larger group called Learning Technologies Group, and we are a family of companies that are in the e-learning space. And some of those companies are Leo, which is a content development company based in New York with offices in Rio and London. Uclea, they specialize in off-the-shelf training for compliance training for the bank and financing industry. Rustasy, which I'm sure many of you have heard if you've ever gone to scorm.com or Scorm Cloud. They're actually the guys that invented XAPI analytics and Tin Can. They are part of the LTG family, as well as Watershed, LRS. Preloaded, they make games with purpose, so they make some really fantastic augmented reality and virtual reality games. And then our most recent acquisition is Net Dimensions, LMS based out of Hong Kong, but also very popular here in the United States. And we have just finished the Net Dimensions integration with Gomo, so we now have one-click publishing to Net Dimensions. So hopefully that kind of gives you a little idea of who we are and what we do. But before we get started, we do have a quick question we'd like to ask everybody, and I guess Hugh, you can manage this for me. But what is your single biggest challenge that you face when creating or distributing your e-learning content?
Yes, thank you, Tom. Yeah, you can see the poll question there on the screen. And for those of you who have just joined us, you'll be able to join in with us by using the question box in the GoToWebinar control panel. So what we'd like to hear from you is just hear about what the issues are which are facing you when creating or distributing your e-learning content. I know that from our customers that there have been quite a few issues that they've been wanting to address. So I can see some answers coming in here. So just keep those thoughts coming in. Okay, and I can see that some of the things coming in here that Connie, that you're mentioning about motivating people to find the time to take it. So really, people being able to make time and from that to be able to deliver the content to them in the time that they have and where they need it. We can also see, yeah, Robin, you're saying creating engaging courses. Yeah, something that's really going to make people want to actually sit down and view those. William, you're saying about multiple languages for courses that are updated annually and distributed globally. Yeah, many of our customers, global organizations, delivering content in multiple languages in multiple regions, and that's can be a key thing for them. And Brendan, you're mentioning here about SME interaction, and again about developing interesting and interactive content without HTML5. And yes, so how do we actually move from Flash and still create compelling content? And also Carol, welcome Carol, that you're saying about the client understanding of responsive design and how to use it properly. So as we move from fixed desktop sizes to, particularly with bring your own device policies, about how do we actually look at and design content there. And yep, that's great. We have lots and lots of thoughts coming in here about that. We have a comment here about short but effective learning content. Again, this whole area of bite-sized learning is really important. And Ben, you're mentioning about speed to market and managing a giant library. So how do you actually get that content out to your users really quickly? And then also, how do you then actually make sure that they can find that content and access it? And we've also got some things here again. Bring your own device and the range of things that people are delivering on, actually accessing the content on, seems to be a big theme that's coming out here. And that really resonates with a lot of our customers. And also, yeah, the managing the whole content with a learning management system. How do you actually get it out there quickly? Because the whole management of LMSs and the content there can be really time-consuming. And also, yes, some more comments about speed of creation. I can see that Peter's asking, how do we get new content out there quickly? So again, some common themes coming out here. So please do keep your thoughts coming as we progress through the webinar, and also ask any questions which we'll be addressing at the end if we haven't managed to address them individually through the question box. So thank you very much for your thoughts, and Tom, back to you.
Great, thanks, Hugh. You know, one thing that's really nice about dealing with different customers and clients and meeting people at shows like DevLearn or ATD is you sort of kind of see the theme of things that are coming along, just kind of like what you mentioned, micro learning or dealing with responsive and adaptive design. And so, getting together, we all talked about, what are the 8 biggest challenges that we think that we can agree on that our customers have come to us before getting Gomo, and we were actually able to address them by letting them starting to use Gomo. So that's kind of how we came up this list, and I'd like to kind of go through it with everybody now, and hopefully you'll be able to kind of agree at least in some of these. So one of the biggest ones is, collaboration. Teams are no longer the traditional static team. Your subject matter experts are covering and expanding platform offerings that are needed in order to get the right message to the people that you're trying to educate. And on top of that, most of your SMEs can be located on opposite sides of the globe. And so the need for the collaboration is really in more demand than ever. With those traditional desktop tools, the ones that you've got to buy and then install after it goes through, IT with the fine-tooth comb, a lot of large organizations are finding it increasingly challenging to be able to collaborate with a global team. Some of those problems were the courses were often tied to one location, and even in sometimes, just one PC. The files would be local, or they had very limited sharing. And so really working together as a team was extremely difficult to do. So again, with one of the solutions that Gomo was able to solve is, well, we're in the cloud. So you've got, the instructional designers, the authors, the reviewers, they can all access the same course from any computer and see in real time how a course is coming together, and they can make those instant changes and instant comments to it. So that really has been able to help everybody out a lot. Number 2, is the design consistency with desktop tools. So, the nice thing about the desktop tools is that, they do provide for a huge amount of flexibility, allowing users to change fonts and colors and backgrounds and a whole lot more. But this can also be a huge problem, and not just for global organizations, but I've seen it in smaller and regional ones too. Often the results are going to be, an inconsistent look and feel on course design. They might have varying fonts and colors, not just from one course to the next, but from one slide to the next. And what that ends up doing is you get an off-brand course, the kind of courses that your legal or your marketing department would pretty much have a heart attack over. So again, with the solution to that, is Gomo offers what we call themes, and themes fix this and eliminate that problem for good. They guarantee a consistency in design and ensure that your branding guidelines are followed each and every time. So these are just some examples of how themes look. Like this is one for Burberry, the retailer. This is one for Nike. And speaking of multilingual, Nike produces courses in, I believe, over 90 different languages. United Healthcare, and Volvo. And so they're separate. The theme is separate from the content. So, you can control the fonts, you can control the colors and everything. So it makes it very, very nice and easy to do. So that's number 2. Number 3, global branding and design updates. So got a true story for you here. I had somebody tell me about they had over 250 courses that were heavily branded, and then they went through a merger and they were tasked with having to rebrand all of their courses. They had a small training department that were familiar with the tool. They only had 3 people in it, I think. And if I can remember correctly, she said it took them nearly 400 hours to rebrand every single course they had. Now, had they been created in Gomo using the themes, it probably would have taken one person less than a day to fix all of those courses. So rebranding can literally take minutes versus days, if not weeks. And so what that does is, every course that's created using that theme, again, the themes are separate from the content. You just go into the theme and say, now I want it to change the color, change the background, change the fonts, and then boom, every single course that was created with that theme is automatically changed. So another trend that we're seeing is the use of SMEs to build the courses and distribute them. The trend is also that the SMEs might need to use the system for, a few times or maybe 1 or 2 times a year. And by using a traditional tool, you'd have to buy another license, you'd have to have it installed, that person would have to learn how to use it, and so on. And, with some of these desktop products that are over 25 years old, no wonder they have so many different options, because they've gone through so many years of changes and everything like that. And it just doesn't make sense to have to go through that hassle just to allow one of your SMEs to be able to do something once or twice a year. So with Gomo, there's nothing to install. It was designed to be very, very easy to learn, very low learning curve. It'll work in a browser on any device. It's got a very easy drag and drop interface. Again, those themes take care of that look and feel, so you don't have to worry about some SME going off and doing everything in a font or color that's not been approved. The Quick Start Wizard, very, very simple to follow. Tell it exactly how you want the course to look and feel. It creates that course for you. The content's really easy to manage inside the tool. And then we also provide screen templates for you that will automatically create those slides with the type of assets on there or interactions you'd like to be able to have with the learner. So again, very easy to learn how to use. Then number 5. All right, so getting those courses quickly and easy into an LMS. All right, so typically when you build a course, you got all these videos and audio and in there and everything, and then when you're ready to finally publish it, had everybody review it. This looks great. Now we got to publish it. Because you've got all these audio and video, it could be 250 megabytes. You've got to zip that up and then FTP that up to your LMS and upload it in there. Sometimes you've even got to put it through like a quarantine, so IT can look at it to make sure that there's no dangerous scripts or viruses or anything like that in there. So it can take some time. And then what happens if you've got to update that? We'll get to that in a second. But with Gomo, we have something that is called the Gomo LMS wrapper. And what this will do is this will take that giant 250 megabyte course and it will actually shrink it down to what we call a micro file. Generally it's about 13 kilobytes, so very, very small. And what it does, it's actually creating an empty SCORM file that is going to be uploaded to your LMS one time, and it's going to point back to the Gomo servers to that live course. So some of the advantages of that is, first of all, going from a 250 megabyte size course down to 13 kilobytes, it's a much smaller load for your LMS. But also, when it comes to doing an update, it's very, very, very simple. So again, going back to before you had to republish something, rezip it, rescorm it, re-FTP it, you don't have to do that anymore. If you're using that Gomo LMS wrapper, again, that's creating that live link back to the course on Gomo servers. Then all you need to do is just go into Gomo, make the changes, save it, publish it to Gomo, and you're done. And again, because we work with a lot of large organizations, some of them have 2, 3, 7, 8 LMSs globally. Same thing. If you were to put that one microfile on all 8 of those LMSs, they're all going to be pointing back to that live course on Gomo servers. You need to go in and make a change, go in and change it in Gomo, save it, publish it to Gomo, instantly done and changed across all of those LMSs globally. Very, very quick. All right, a couple more that we have here. So some of the companies have come to us that said, look, we need to be able to have more than just one way how we can get these courses out to somebody. So with Gomo, obviously we have the authoring tool over here on the left. We have all the different ways that you can distribute it over here on the right. And there is the traditional way, which we've already talked about. Just put a SCORM wrapper on it, upload it to your LMS, and you're off to the races. But if you want to have multiple options, then this is where you'd want to choose the Gomo hosting. First and foremost, we just talked about the Gomo LMS wrapper. You've got to have Gomo hosting in order to be able to take advantage of that. But you might want some additional ways. So we have the direct link access. So you might want to just send it in an email to somebody. You might want to throw it on YouTube. You might want to tweet about it, Pinterest, Facebook, whatever. It's a direct link that people will be able to take the course. Embedded in a website. Sometimes you might want to have something you just want to put online for your customers on your website or maybe your intranet site. We create the code for you. You just copy the code, paste it into your HTML, and the course is going to be live on your website for you. That's something actually, if you go to our website and go into our support section, you'll see a lot of courses that were all created in Gomo and they're live on our website. So I guess what the Brits like to say is we eat our own dog food. We also have Gomo Central. It's a learner portal. It's not an LMS. No plans to make it an LMS, but it's an easy way that learners can go in and access the courses and take it, get credit for it. What we found that, again, with a lot of our larger organizations is, sometimes it takes a while for an employee to get set up in the LMS, or sometimes it might take them a while to get their corporate email. But you want to have them go ahead and take their onboarding training. This is a great way they can do it. They just log in through Gomo Central, take their onboard training, get full credit for it, and then they're done. Now, another way that we use Gomo Central is through our Gomo Central app, and this is going to be for offline learning. So if you've got people that are going to be away, they're going to be in an area that maybe doesn't have good internet service, or they're not going to be any Wi-Fi on the plane, they can actually download a course while they're online. And then when they're offline, they can take the course, consume all the content as if they were online, watch the videos, take the assessments, and the app will track all of that. And then once they're back online again, it will automatically send that data up to the Gomo servers. Now, the Gomo servers are going to be getting that as an XAPI, or User Experience API. And this just kind of goes a little bit deeper from your traditional SCORM. So whereas with SCORM, it might be you took the course on the 28th and scored a 95%. Great. With XAPI, it'll say Hugh took the course and he took it on a tablet, and he started off on the main menu, went through the first topics, looked at all these pages, watched this video, skipped the second topic, went right to the assessment, got questions 1 through 15 correct, missed number 16, and then got 17 through 20 correct. So it gives you a more detailed path of what the learner is doing. It also allows you to take some key indicators. So like, let's say maybe everybody missed the same question, or 90% of the people missed the question number 16. Well, why is that? You can go in and you can see that, wow, gosh, I programmed the question wrong, or I put some content on the course that was kind of misleading, and you can go in and make those corrections. Those are things you'd never get from SCORM. So this just allows you to kind of take a deeper look into what your learners are experiencing. And then finally, the last one is being able to reach learners on any device with the rise of smartphones and BYOD policies. So, content now does really need to be available, not just on desktops and laptops, but, thousands of devices like different smartphones and tablets, and they all have varying screen sizes. Not just the BYOD policies that we're seeing, but I believe it was Connie that mentioned, micro-learning. One way that you can get people to consume the content is by, instead of making it an hour and a half long course that they got to sit down in front of a desk to do, throw it out there in 10 different 5-minute, micro-learning that they can take on their smartphone, and they can take it on their tablet. But, with the thing with that, though, is it's got to be able to be user-friendly on a mobile device. So like, for example, in this picture right here, this looks great on a laptop, but it's a little bit smaller on a tablet, and it's shrunk down on the smartphone right here. This is an Android device. This is an iPad. With things like this, people will fat finger the questions and get things wrong. They'll have to pinch and zoom in to be able to read the text, and people won't want to take it on the smartphones, and they won't want to be able to get things done. They'll have to take it on a computer, and that's counterproductive. It has to be looking good on all these devices, and that's why with Gomo, it's not just responsive HTML5, but it's also adaptive. So it will make sure that the text is nice and big on that smartphone. The buttons are going to be finger friendly on that Android device. So all that's very, very, very important. All right, so just want to kind of share with you guys a few case studies from some of our customers. So with Santander, their training, the UK training team created learning for over 20,000 UK staff who service the needs of over 14 million customers. And by using Gomo, it's allowed the team to work collaboratively in one tool to design, publish, and deliver multi-device content that's going to be consistent, it's going to be on brand 100% of the time, and it's going to be ready for that multi-device consumption. They do have a BYOD policy at the bank, and so people are able to take these courses on tablets, on smartphones, and they're seeing a massive increase in the completion of a lot of courses specifically for that particular reason. All right, with EE, they were using originally a Gomo competitor tool, but the end result was they said that e-learning content was just kind of clunky and had a poor response rate, and which people just didn't enjoy doing. And so a number of solutions were tested, including video-only e-learning courses, before EE finally discovered the power of an e-learning authoring tool like Gomo. So now they're creating all of their courses in Gomo. And matter of fact, one of the quotes that we have from Pinda Dillon, who's the head of training design, is that the feedback on the courses has been incredible. People are asking for more and talk to each other about what they've learned. And as of March 2017, 82% of the organization is now actively taking e-learning, which before that it was a lot less. We can't produce enough content. Using Gomo to create our e-learning has transformed our organization. So that's really nice. And then the last one is a PwC. So this is really kind of interesting with PwC, and we didn't realize this, but they actually hired one of the industry's foremost analysts to review all of the best e-learning tools on the market. It's probably one you can guess, but they spent nearly a year on a proof of concept from a lot of other people all over the globe, here in the States, over in Europe, and then finally when it was done, they made the recommendation to use Gomo. And so since then, they've actually rolled out Gomo to over 15 territories with over 100 authors, and it's just been going strong with them ever since. All right, so now what I'm going to do is just kind of show you guys a very brief demo of Gomo and how it works. So hopefully you'll get a good idea of how we use Gomo. All right, so I've logged into Gomo here, and again, I've accessed it via my web browser, and it is browser agnostic, but I do prefer to use Chrome, but you can use another browser if you like to. We have content folders. This is my folder, the Thom folder. I've got all my different courses. I've got other folders I can go into, but if I want to create a project, I just simply click on the plus sign, and it allows me to create a project. And today is Tuesday, and it is 11:29. All right, and I'm just going to throw everything into the demo folder. I can do single language, or I can do multiple languages, of course, and it will report back as a single SCO. This is where we would choose the themes. And as I was saying earlier in the presentation, that the themes control the look and the feel of the course. So anytime I create one of these courses with a theme, I can come in and then later on change that theme, and it will automatically change that course. Now Gomo does come with about 7 themes, and they all are customizable, which we'll go in and I'll show you here in just a bit. So this is where we would create the look and the feel of the course. Do I want a menu topic? I didn't want an introduction topic. I would like to have an exit button. These, of course, can all be changed once you've actually created the course, but this just kind of gives you a real quick way to kind of get started. And then, of course, this is where I can go in and I can give reviewers or editors access to this particular project. If I don't want an editor to have access to a project, I can just turn them off, and then whenever they log in, they would never even see that this project exists. So this takes about a minute to chug away and create my course. So what I thought I'd do is just kind of show you guys a couple of quick examples of some courses created in Gomo, so you can kind of get an idea of what they look like. So Jaguar Land Rover, they're a very heavy user of Gomo, and they have created courses for all of the vehicles that they sell. And they've also taken advantage of the native apps because they want these courses to be available to their salespeople on an iPad offline. A lot of times they have very large lots, and they lose the Wi-Fi, or they get, somebody wants to go for a test drive. They're able to take this with them and be able to access the content offline if somebody asks them. So let's say they wanted to find out what different kind of wheels were available for this particular vehicle. they can easily go in and get more information on the types of wheels that are available. But this is, one look and feel for one type of course. Here's another one made by Godiva Chocolate, and I believe this one uses the continuous scroll. That seems to be pretty popular these days with a lot of websites. So chocolate culture in ancient times. Excuse me. Have a little quiz here. And I think this is basically, this is using a quiz that links to a subpage, which is a standard feature in Gomo. A lot of beautiful colors here. Another asset that's standard, being able to use text and images. And this is what we call the deep continuous scrolling of the course. All right, that should be enough time. All right, so here is my course. And so whenever you first open up the course, it's going to give you a real quick layout. And this is just a graphical layout of what the course looks like. We have our menu, we have our 3 topics here, we have our header information at the top, we have our footer information at the bottom. Maybe I'd like to balance it out a little bit more and maybe put this progress bar at the top. I can just simply remove it and then put it up here at the top. So what I did is I clicked on this content topic 1 here, so that's going to open up. So you'll be able to see, if multiple people are working on this course at the exact same time, then somebody else might come in here and they say, oh, well, content topic 1 is locked by Tom. I'll go ahead and work on content topic 2 or something like that. So when we go into the actual authoring tool, this is what it looks like. We have our navigation over here at the left. We have our assets over here on the left as well, divided up by categories, by questions, by layout, and everything is drag and drop. So whenever I click on the text, it's going to give me the properties of that text. And to modify that text, just simply double click on it. And we'll just say, welcome to Gomo. And again, I don't have to worry about what font am I going to use, what color am I going to use. That's all been decided for me at the theme level. If I wanted to maybe change out this picture, just simply double click on it. I can either look for it by name and it'll search all the folders, or maybe I just want to search for a specific folder. And we'll go find that demo folder that I was looking and using. And here it is. And I can either look at it by a list view or a thumbnail view. So maybe I just want to pop in this one right here. And if I didn't have the picture I wanted, there was an upload option. I just simply go out and find the image I want, drag and drop it on here, and I can bring it in. So these content blocks here, you can see here we have 1 column, 2 columns, 3 columns. Maybe I want to bring a button in over. Again, it's just simply a drag and drop. And maybe I'll just call this one Start. And maybe we'll make it a large button. That'd be fine. And we'll center it right there. But it's these columns here is what makes it adapt so well to mobile devices. So with a lot of traditional tools, they will see this as column 1, 2, 3, and look at it linearly and want to keep it that way even when it goes down to a mobile phone. So to put these 3 columns right next to each other on a mobile phone, obviously it's going to have to shrink them down. But with Gomo, it reads what type of device and what size screen it's on, and it will actually adapt that, and it'll shift things around the screen. It'll shift this column underneath this one, it'll shift the third one underneath the second one, so the button will remain finger friendly, the text will be a good size to see. So that's what makes it a lot more friendly. Now let's say I want to maybe delete that screen. I can add a new screen, or I can add a blank screen, or I can create it from that template. As you recall earlier, I was talking about the templates will create screens. It'll put in all the additional things that you need. So, for example, the hotspot image screen. Typically, a hotspot, you're linking it to subscreens. So it's automatically created these subscreens for me. So maybe I'll make this one about our offices. And I believe Hugh was talking about being able to see the ocean from his office. So we'll just create this map right here, and we'll configure these subpages. So our offices are in Brighton, and so we'll just come in here, and we'll say Brighton, And the nice thing about the subscreens also is you can jazz them up with all these assets that you've got: film strips and comic strips and image walls and things like that. But we'll just be easy today and just do an image. And this is a pier that Hugh can see right from his office there, which is pretty nice. Now I, on the other hand, I am just north of Atlanta. I think somebody said they were from Atlanta when he was going through everything. And it is a sunny day, but it's about 54 degrees out. And that is Fahrenheit to my European listeners out there. And I'll put in an image of Atlanta, maybe some lovely Atlanta traffic. All right. And then with the third one, I won't worry about the third one. We'll do something different with that one. But let's go in and configure this now. All right. So again, because I created this from a template, it's automatically going to go ahead and set actions for these hotspots. And it's going to go to the first subpage, the second subpage, and the third subpage. We'll do some things a little bit different. So you see right here, this first one right here, automatically go to Brighton. The second one's automatically going to go to Atlanta. And the third one, we'll do something a little bit different. We'll actually make it go to Gomo Learning, and we can do it, we'll do it in a new window, that's fine. But you can see you can add other types of actions. We can link to a file, we can play an audio asset, we can set a variable. So really there's a lot of power under the hood just with these actions on this hotspot. And then maybe we'll create one more screen before we save it and do a quick preview, and maybe we'll create a question for an assessment. We'll do a multiple choice, and we'll ask the question here of where is our corporate offices, and hopefully you guys were just paying attention. So I can give the learner 1 through 5 attempts to get the question, or we've actually had one of our customers say, hey, can you guys add an unlimited? So we like to do what our customers ask, so when we can, so we've added an unlimited, but I'm going to be not so nice. I'm only going to give them 1 chance to get it right, and we'll try Atlanta. Option 2 is Brighton, and option 3 is maybe New York. I can, of course, add other options if I want to, but we want to make sure that Brighton is the correct answer. And this is going to be the feedback from the subpages. And so let's also maybe delete that. Maybe we'll put in a movie, something a little different than just a image. And we'll do the flowers. That's great. And we will save this. All right, so that was just a real quick down and dirty way how you can create a course. But now what we'll do is we'll go in and we can actually see what this is going to look like. Now, if anybody has any QR readers on their phone, you might want to go ahead and get those ready, because I will show this again when I do the preview. But this way you'll be able to really see what it looks like on your smartphone or your tablet. You can really see how it's adaptive and shift things around. But the also nice thing is when we give you a preview, we also give you the option to be able to see what's this going to look like on a smartphone. What's this going to look like on a tablet? As a matter of fact, we've just recently added the ability to see multiple different types of devices, not just a standard tablet, but maybe an Elo Touch or an iPad or a Samsung Galaxy Tab. Not just a smartphone, but an iPhone 5 or maybe an iPhone 10 or X, as my daughters call it, or Samsung Galaxy S Note. So when I change it to a smartphone, we just go standard here. All right, so now notice that it's a smaller size screen, so it shifted these columns around on top of each other. So we still got good size text, still a good size image, still a good finger-friendly button there. These are going to be finger-friendly. The table of content is going to be finger-friendly. But nice to be able to go and see how that shifts around automatically. Now again, if anybody does have a QR reader, I will give you just a few seconds to get it out and zap that screen. And I'll hold it up there for just about 3 more seconds. 2, 1. All right, hopefully some of you have been able to take advantage of that. So here's our course. Here's our pop-ups here. Here's our pop-up here. Here's our link to our website. And I won't let that load. There we go. And then, of course, we have our very difficult quiz play a movie. Where our corporate offices? They are in Brighton. And of course, that is correct. All right, so that's our real quick course. We took about 9 minutes or so to create. But just kind of shifting gears a little bit, because I know usually people always ask, what does the review process look like? So you may or may not have noticed this tasks tab over here on the far left, but this is what a reviewer would be able to see. Once they log in, they'd see the course, they'd say preview, this is what it would open. So the task will allow them to add new tasks. So in this case, maybe we like to, please change the background and tone down the colors a bit. So it automatically identified that we are in content topic 1. We are in the template multiple choice question, and this will pick up whatever name that you've named this particular slide. And then I can choose what author I want to be able to go in and make those changes. And Mike's not doing anything, so we'll make him do it. So then the next time Mike logs in, he can actually go to his tasks bar, and he'll see our tasks window. He'll see all the various tasks that he's been assigned, and he'll be able to do a preview to see what page we're talking about and say, oh, okay, they want us to tone it down a bit, so we can go and do that. So that's how the online review process works. You no longer have to worry about emails going back and forth or documents, multiple versions of the same document with differing things on there. Nice and easy, centralized, real easy workflow. So let's say we do want to go in and we want to make some changes to what this course looks like. We talked about themes. If I wanted to, I could come in here to settings, go into the theme, and if I wanted to, I could apply the Burberry theme, or maybe the Nike Converse theme, or maybe the Federal Reserve theme, and it would automatically completely change the look and feel to whatever this look and feel is. But maybe I'm 90% happy with what this looks like. I just want to change the background, maybe the color of the buttons. I can actually come into this particular theme for this particular course and make some changes. So maybe for the primary color, maybe tone it down a bit, copy that so I can use that later, and we'll tone this down a little bit as well. And maybe for the background image, so I could either choose to select no image, and then I could go in and I can make a change to every individual slide, or I can make this a global background. So we'll make this a global background, and we will use, I like this one, so we'll use that one. And then maybe for the buttons, again, we got the main menu buttons. I'll tone those down a little bit. And this one I'll change to this. Now we can also change the header information. And if I wanted to, I could put an image in the header with maybe companies' logos, things like that. And then just to kind of show you guys some additional changes we can make. This is where we could change the font. We change the font to a different font, different size, different color. The actual content area of the screen, we could change the width of that. We could change the opacity of the information that's behind the content area. Again, we can do that on individual slides, or we can do it as a global setting. Some of the other things I could have changed is I could have changed the entire course to look different on a desktop. So instead of maybe taking up the full screen, maybe just make it 1024. All right, so that's all been changed. So now if we go into here, and if we do a refresh, and if anybody has pulled up that course on your phone or your tablet by zapping the QR code, if you were to go in and maybe refresh your screen there, it will go in and display those changes as well. So I think I went ahead and hit preview just a little too soon. It hasn't done all its changes yet. Give it here a second. There we go. So what I've done is I've gone in and I've changed the background. So instead of having those different colors, I've changed it to an image of Eileen Donning Castle in Scotland. And here's the color of the header and the footer bars. I've changed to match that of the buttons. I've toned those down a little bit. So you can see it's changed the entire look and the feel of the course all the way across the board. And again, if you hadn't had a chance to take advantage of that, then you can go ahead and zap that again real quick too. All right, I know we've got just a few more minutes. I want to make sure that we leave some time for some questions in the end, but I just want to kind of go over a couple real quick things on the publishing and the hosting side. So if you were ready to, you were happy with the course and you wanted to go ahead and publish it, several different options we have here. If we go into Actions and Publish the Project, as I said earlier, we have integrated with Net Dimensions. So if you had Net Dimensions as an LMS, you would be able to set up this link. You would click Net Dimensions, and it would automatically publish to Net Dimensions, and you'd be done. If you needed to download this with a SCORM or XAPI file, you'd be able to choose these options. Go in and track with a defined or undefined endpoint if you're using XAPI or SCORM 1.2, and you'd hit Publish, and then you'd be done. But if you wanted to go ahead and publish it to Gomo to take advantage of all the different options, you would choose Publish to Gomo. And then we have the hosting portal right here. So these are all the courses that have been published to Gomo hosting, but they haven't necessarily been set up yet for the distribution. So we have Gomo Central, which needs to be set up, and you'll be able to choose a URL of your choice, .gomo central. You'll be able to put in your logos, your background images you want. You've got full content categorization. You've got user access groups, so you can define who gets to see what courses, and it literally takes about 10 minutes to set this up. Once that's been set up, you can launch it, you can see what it looks like, and I'll go ahead and log in so you can kind of see maybe what a learner would see. All right, so once you've got these courses set over here, you need to be able to tell it what you want to see and how you want to see it. So for example, I believe we have this course right here. Let's see, yeah, like this Learning Solutions course right here. In order to be able to get it there, if we come over and click on it, and we go to Settings, we would say that we want it to go to Gomo Central, turn the status on, hit Update, and then that would put it over into Gomo Central. For the analytics, when somebody takes it, here's an example, this is the dashboard that you would see. 65% of the time it's been taken on a desktop. The rest of the time it's been split between a smartphone and a tablet. Looks like Freddie Alcock was the last person to take this. And to kind of get an idea of what they would see, we'll go ahead and go back a little bit, apply the filter. And so this is sort of an example of where they would do. They went to the main menu. Well, here it is, resumed, went to the introduction, main menu, went directly to the assessment, got the first two correct, got the third one incorrect, got the fourth one correct, finished with the 75%, went back to the main menu, and then exited the course. So that's kind of gives you a little bit more of an idea of detailed information that you'll get from the analytics. Now, a couple of the other ways we can set up for distribution. Like I said, we have a lot of courses on our website. For example, Get Going with Gomo. Very popular one. I think it's been launched over close to 5,000 times now, 5,400 times. We go into Settings. We choose that we want this to be direct access. This is the embed code that's inside an iframe. You just copy it, paste that, throw that on your website, and it would appear. Or if you wanted to send a direct link, we offer both HTTP as well as HTTPS links, and that would be for direct access. And then finally, we talked about that Gomo LMS wrapper. I want to show you very quickly how that's done. So let's say we want to take advantage of this and we want to be able to put a quick link onto our LMS. Here's one that's it's 41.3 megabytes. So not an incredibly large course, but still pretty decent size. So again, the traditional method would be, you've got to FTP it, you got to zip it up, got to send it up to the LMS. And then if you need to make a correction to that, you got to go through that whole process again. With this way, we can say, when I go into the settings, I want to use the Gomo LMS wrapper. I'll download that LMS package. Should only take a second here, and there it is. And if I go in and I show you guys the size of it, just going to go, here it is. And as we can see that it is only 13 kilobytes. So it went from 42 megabytes down to 13 kilobytes. Again, very, very small. This is what you'd upload to your LMS. And then that's one time. You never have to upload anything again. No matter how many times you change your course, you don't have to upload anything again, because it's creating that live link back to that course that's residing here on Gomo servers. So if you need to make a change to that course, just go into it, make your change, save it, publish to Gomo, and then you're done. Automatically updated. So that hopefully is a good idea to give you all on how Gomo works, how easy it is to learn, how fast you can produce, beautiful content that'll show up on each and every device. And I think we've got a few minutes left, so Hugh, let's go ahead and open it up to some questions.
Hi, thank you very much, Tom. I'm sure that everybody has been really interested in what Tom has to share with us there. Certainly we've had lots of questions coming through, which I've sort of grouped together into some common themes. One piece of housekeeping, lots of people asking, will we get a recording of this webinar? Yes, indeed. We'll be sending out a link to the recording to you all in the next day or so, and then you can choose to share that link with your co-workers if they didn't manage to tune in today. So there will be a recording. One thing that Simone's raised the issue about, well, what's the pricing? Is this a subscription? How does that all work? Is that something that you could talk to, Tom?
Yeah, that's actually a great question. So we have two different types of pricing. We have some pricing that is available on our website. If you go to Gomo and click on pricing, we have here the authoring and hosting. We have a small, which is basically it's an individual author, and that is $1,780 per year. We have a medium team, which gives you all the information you see listed here, but that's 4 licenses that you would be able to have, 4 authoring licenses, and that's $4,980. And then anything more than that, we've got specific enterprise pricing, and so that's kind of done on a per basis, depending on what it is you're looking for. But that gives you a lot more on the back end. So if you have anything more than 4, give us a call or send us an email. I'll be happy to provide some pricing for you.
Great, thanks, Tom. Also, Karen's just asking, can you put up the block with LMS integrations again? So I think the diagram about, I think maybe about how that links in.
I think I know what you're talking about. Yeah, let me see if...
Apologies, Karen, if that wasn't your question. And we've had quite a few things here about integration and analytics. About can analytics like quiz outcomes, answers be exported to something like a CSV file so that you can do your own reviewing? And so that's something that we do have there in Gomo Analytics. And yeah, just to follow on from that, yes, that you can run reports within Gomo Analytics, but then you can choose then to export it to do your own processing, say just in a spreadsheet and so on, and to be able to do your own analysis there. Another question, a common question here is about platform independence. So can you use this on both PCs and Macs? What sort of thing do the end users need, and what kind of thing do authors need?
Yeah, we certainly have people using them both on PCs as well as Macs, and we've got people that are authoring in Safari on a Mac, or Chrome, Firefox, Edge, Internet Explorer. Again, I personally prefer Chrome, but again, we've got users using multiple different types of platforms and browsers.
And also to follow on from that, if you want a detailed list of browsers and operating systems across platforms, you can find that at our support site, gomolearning.com/support, under the system requirements area there. And also in that support area, you'll find lots of videos and articles about how to do lots of different things in Gomo. Just another question, Tom. Question from William about he raised earlier about one of his challenges is multiple languages for courses that are updated annually and distributed globally. Would you just be able to dip into to highlight the multi-language capabilities there in Gomo?
Yeah,
I
sure.
realize it's quite a big area in its own right, but
Yeah, it is. So yeah, with multilingual courses, and I'll try to talk while I try to find one and then pull one up. Obviously, you're going to create your course first in your default language, and you'll go through and you'll make all of the put in your images, put in your English language, your audio, whatever you want to do. But you would also choose the language that you want it to be in as well when you're finally finished publishing. So in this example right here, they've chosen for British English, Chinese, and French. And then once you're done building this particular course, you'd be able to go to Actions, and you would export what's called an XLIF file. And this is the file format that most, all your professional translators are looking for in that particular format. They would then they would translate that course for you, and then you would import that XLIF file back in. And then from the language selector on the course, there's several ways you can do it. You can use the language selector, or you can make a button with an action to it to change the language, or a hotspot image. For example, this one right here is using a hotspot image to set the language. So this hotspot image here, set the action, set language, British English. Same thing with this one. Set the language, it's going to be Chinese. So then when the learner actually makes that change on the course, it'll then read from that XLIF file and display everything in Chinese or French or anything, whatever you like there. Now for doing localization, as you can see, as I'm changing the image, changing the language here, it's changing the image. This is where you would make those localization changes, not the text, but the images, audio files, things like that. You go here and say, okay, for French, I need to import in a French MP3. For the image, I'm going to import the picture of the Eiffel Tower. And when I go to Chinese, I need to import a Chinese language when I go for the image. Now the red and the green means it's been translated through the XLIF file, and obviously this is not, so that's why it's red. But that's how the multi-language works. Hopefully that answers your question.
Great, thanks, Tom. And just to try and squeeze in just a couple more things before we have to close the session, really to do with rich media that Connie's asking about, do we support audio? Also, Robin raised the question about the demo courses that you showed. It looked like the kind of courses where you just read the content, but how about courses that have audio, like a sort of narration, and is that possible? So maybe you could just touch on the audio and video side of Gomo.
Yeah, obviously we've got media assets right here where we have an audio player, and of course because we want to be able to make sure we support as many mobile devices that are out there. So with audio we use MP3 format, for video we use MP4, but you can put in both a video player and import the video directly into the course, or we also have an iframe where pretty much anything that can be hosted on the web, you can show it inside Gomo, whether it's a SurveyMonkey, whether it's a Vimeo video or YouTube video, Google Maps, whatever, that can all be displayed inside Gomo using the iframe player.
Well, thank you, Tom. We've now come to the end of our session. So apologies for those of you whose questions we haven't managed to answer, but please feel free to email us at support@gomolearning.com if you have any specific questions that you'd like to raise. Also, remember that you can sign up for the free trial of Gomo, 21-day trial at gomolearning.com. So I'd just like to say a big thank you to all of you for tuning in today, and also to Tom for that excellent webinar. And we look forward to getting feedback from you about your experiences with Gomo. So thank you very much, everyone. Bye.